And good afternoon, everybody. I'm Jeremy Moses here with the Squared Circle Cafe. And this is my review of WWE's WrestleMania. The two-part event took place this past Saturday and Sunday, but was recorded back in March at the WWE Performance Center in Orlando, Florida. And I liked night one better than I did night two, to be honest with you. I thought that night one was very good. Good matches overall. That's not to say night two was bad. Night two was not bad. I will say there were some similarities in a couple of these matches, and I'll get into that here in just a few minutes. So what we'll do is we'll start out with night one. We had the kickoff match. Cesaro defeating Drew Gulak in 4 minutes, 25 seconds. Way too fast. Way too short. These guys can go. They should be given a chance to run this back at some stage. Hopefully they do it on SmackDown tomorrow night, but I can't say for sure that they're going to. First match on the main card was the Kabuki Warriors being defeated by Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, aka Bliss Cross Applesauce, in 15 minutes 25 seconds to win the WWE Women's Tag Titles. Very well worked match. The finish came when Nikki Cross came back with a spinning neckbreaker on Kairi Sane and then tagged in Bliss, who hit Twisted Bliss and pinned Kairi to win the match. Very well worked match. And this is going to be a common theme. The empty arena did these girls no favors. Second match, King Corbin and Elias. This, you may remember, this was one of the matches that I was least excited for. That bears this out. Looked like a television match, and it played out like a television match, despite being at WrestleMania. Corbin tried for a pin with the feet on the ropes. Referee stopped the count. Elias then caught Corbin in the inside cradle and got the pin that way. Again, felt like a television match. Looked like a television match. And that's all I got to say about that. Next up, we had Becky Lynch, Shayna Baszler for the Raw Women's Championship. Lynch defeating Baszler in 8 minutes 30 seconds after rolling on top of Baszler while in the Kurafita clutch. And I wasn't a fan of the finish. Didn't like it. Baszler should have won this. But, I don't know where they're going from there. After some quick ads, Daniel Bryan, Drew Gulak making their entrance for the next match, which was Sami Zayn defeating Daniel Bryan in 9 minutes 20 seconds to retain the Intercontinental Championship via a haluva kick from Zayn after a really good match. This was enjoyable. Zayn leaning heavily into his chicken shit heel role. So there you go. John Morrison, Kofi Kingston, Jimmy Uso, triple threat ladder match for the SmackDown tag titles. That's right, a singles match decided the SmackDown tag team titles. Good match, fun match, and given the circumstances, the editing that they did was pretty good. I just would have rather them not go overboard with it in some of the later matches. Morrison was headbutted by both opponents, and he fell onto the wedge ladder, but he had the title belt in his hand and was named the winner. So, kind of a creative finish there. Next up, we had Seth Rollins versus Kevin Owens. Jesus, Moses, what are you doing? This actually ended up being a tale of two matches. First, Kevin Owens beating Seth Rollins by DQ in 10 minutes. And then, about 7 minutes, 20 seconds later, the pinfall was picked up by Owens after a stunner to Rollins. Owens had actually jumped off the WrestleMania sign prior to this, driving Rollins through the broadcast table. Hard-hitting, very well done. I will say this, they made a lot of noise. They were talking shit to one another, and I like that. I like that a lot. So the next thing to come up was Mojo Rawley pinning R-Truth to win the WWE 24/7 Championship. Can this title please just go the fuck away? Seriously? Can it just go away? I'm not a fan of it. I'm just not. The seventh match, Goldberg, Braun Strowman, Universal Championship, and Strowman defeats Goldberg in 2 minutes, 10 seconds. It essentially was spear, jackhammer attempt, 3 power slams, running power slam, and then a pin. Yeah. Kept it short. And it benefited from not having the crowd. WrestleMania crowd would have crapped all over this. At that point, video package then set up the Boneyard match, and it was Undertaker beating AJ Styles in a Boneyard match in about 35 minutes. I really liked this one. This was a really good match. Doing what they did with this was the right call. Number one, naming it the Boneyard match instead of a Graveyard match or something like that, I really like that. Being sensitive to today's climate, at least today's cultural situation, I really like that. And Taker and Styles gave us a hell of a performance. I was really impressed. So, there you go. And with that was night one. Now we'll jump into night two, which was headlined, I believe, by, let me double check here, Drew McIntyre and Brock Lesnar. We'll start from the top, as we did with night one. The kickoff show, Liv Morgan beating Natalya at 6:25, and not much to say about that. It was a match that was just thrown out there, no build, no nothing. So, there you go. And then Rhea Ripley losing the NXT Women's Championship to Charlotte in just over 20 minutes. Charlotte Flair had went for a figure four. Ripley countered it into an inside cradle for the 2. Flair then got back up, applied the figure four, bridged it into the figure 8, and Ripley tapped out to that match. And that was really good. I, quite frankly, thought that Ripley should have retained here. Charlotte doesn't need the women's championship, the NXT Women's Championship. But it has since come out that apparently Ripley had to go back to Australia because of work visa issues, and in that being the case, I get it. I get why they did it. So, not a fan of it, but I do get why they did it. So, there you go. Next match, Aleister Black, Bobby Lashley. Aleister Black defeating Bobby Lashley, 7 minutes, 20 seconds. Pretty good undercard match. And then what happened was Lana climbed onto the top step. Lashley hoisted up Black for a move, but Lana called for him to do something else. He dropped Black, went for a spear, and Black immediately tags him with the Black Mass kick for the pinfall victory. Looks like we're going to get the split of Lana and Lashley based on that, and based on what they did on Monday. At that point, we got Otis versus Dolph Ziggler, and I'm not even going through the inner in-between match stuff, because really, I mean, there wasn't much to it. Otis, Dolph Ziggler, Otis defeating Dolph in 8 minutes, 15 seconds. He gets the win, and he gets the girl, and what ended up happening is Mandy Rose enters the ring after having her music played. She gives Ziggler a nut shot, and then Otis hit the Caterpillar for the victory. Not much to it, but at least it was a change in that usually the simpleton doesn't get the girl. The girl ends up abusing him, so there you go. Edge, Randy Orton, last man standing, and Edge defeated Randy Orton in just under 37 minutes. This was a little too long for me. Granted, they gave us a heck of a match with that 37 minutes, but I just didn't think it needed to go 37 minutes. But it was a pretty good match nonetheless. What ended up getting the win for Edge was a concerto atop a semi-truck. Yeah. So there you go. Orton twitched as the referee counted the 10. And then Edge kind of showed some motion coming off of that. After some ads, Mojo Rawley, chased by a bunch of random wrestlers who caught up with him at the ringside area. Gronkowski appeared on the perch at the Performance Center, at which point he hung from the outside of it and did a trust fall onto the pile, pinning Rawley and winning the WWE 24/7 Championship, promptly leaving the building. Well, there you go. That was Gronk's involvement, everybody. Next matchup was Street Profits, Montez Ford, Angelo Dawkins, defeating Austin Theory and Angel Garza in 6 minutes and 20 seconds. Ford hit a springboard frog splash on Theory, and Theory was then pinned by Dawkins. So there you go. Not a whole lot to say about it. Felt like it should have been on TV, but then again, once Andrade was pulled from the match because of an injury, it was going to feel like that. Titus O'Neil took over as WrestleMania host, so there you go. At that point, we got the fatal five-way match for the SmackDown Women's Championship. The order of elimination was Tamina, Naomi, Sasha Banks, and then Bayley defeated Lacey Evans finally to retain the SmackDown Women's Championship off of a backstabber from Sasha Banks, who returned to the match about 6 minutes after leaving it. And then Bayley drove Evans' face into the mat and pinned her that way. Wasn't sure where they were going. I thought we'd get the Banks and Bayley split, and we didn't. So, as much as... I will say this. Bayley has not looked all that strong up to this point. But sticking with her as the champion from here means that it's going to pay off. It's going to mean something if the right person wins the title. Who that right person is, I don't know. Maybe Rhea Ripley? Maybe? I don't know. And at that point, we go into the Firefly Funhouse match. And I'm going to put match in air quotes because this was just a 40-minute long movie of sorts. The Fiend put Cena down on the mat and applied the mandible claw. The sweater-wearing version of Bray Wyatt counted the pin. And, yeah. I said this on Twitter, and I stand by it. I don't really know what we saw there, to be honest. I just didn't really... I just didn't really get it. It was not a match in a traditional sense. Granted, the Boneyard match wasn't necessarily a match either. It just was what it was. And then finally, we got Drew McIntyre defeating Brock Lesnar in 4 minutes, 35 seconds to win the WWE Championship. And what did we get? We got, let's see, Claymore kick, German suplex, F5, 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 and then Lesnar set up for another F5. McIntyre hit a Claymore kick, then another Claymore kick, then a third Claymore kick, and scored the win over Lesnar. Don't get me wrong. Feel good ending. I like that. But this one and the Universal Championship match really should not have been much of the same thing. It just felt like it was the same damn thing in both matches. Not a fan of that. But I do like Drew McIntyre coming out with the WWE Championship. So we have some new blood at the top of both Raw and SmackDown. And for that matter, Charlotte winning the NXT Women's Championship means some new battles over there. Even if, again, I would have rather seen Rhea Ripley continue to hold that title. I understand now why they did it. So that's it. That is my quick and dirty, less than 20-minute review of WWE WrestleMania. If you want to follow me, I am at Jeremy Moses85. You can follow the show at SCC Podcast on Twitter. We are on Facebook as well, at Squared Circle Cafe. And don't forget to email us, squaredcirclecafe@gmail.com. And so until next time, this is the show, the podcast, by wrestling fans, for wrestling fans. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night, everybody.